Trophy.
I'll know I did a good job when it looks like you could just dive into this paper.
This thing makes 627 horsepower and 586 foot-pounds of torque, so this thing's going to be a tire shredder for sure.
The old school 1934 Buick,
And, yeah,
a lot more power and a lot more reliability.
So we got us a little situation here.
The new old school.
what?
This is very quickly becoming one of my favorite cars.
Whoa, wee.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Well, that hasn't been separated in a long time, huh?
It looks good. Everything's clean. All sheet metal looks pretty nice. You ready to roll it out?
Yeah, let's go.
We're known for custom trucks, but, whatever rolls through the door, we're going to get our hands on and give it a little extensive touch to it. And when we're building a 49 Cadillac for NFL Hall of Famer Earl Campbell, this guy is a living legend. So everybody in the shop's got to be on point and make sure this thing's going to be perfect. This car is special, and I'll say that about all of them, but this one's is definitely special.
I think it's your turn, buddy, to finish her.
I appreciate it, man.
It's been months of metal work and body work just to get to this point. When people see all the custom touches that are all throughout this car, they're going to know it's Earl Campbell's. It's always a little bonus in the day when you get something major done, like just pulling the frame out, getting it cleaned up, getting it loaded off the powder coat. It's just a huge accomplishment. Considering how Earl's car came into what it is now, finally feels like we're getting something done. Thank you. This thing is going to be a cool car. Earl, where's the first place you're going to take this car?
In Austin, Texas, there's a little hamburger joint. Been there since the 40s. I hang out there. That's where the cars meet on Thursday night. So that's going to be my first appearance in this 49.
All right, man. You make me hungry.
I know. What's for lunch, burgers?
Earl, man, I'd really like to take you in the shop and show this thing to you at the stage it's at, but you've seen it in pieces enough. If you can bear with me, just wait just a little longer, I promise you, it's going to be extra special for you to see this thing totally finished.
I can't wait, Bill.
For the most part, Earl's just been leaving the design for the Caddy to us. But Earl called me a couple days ago, said he had some ideas for the color accents for the interior.
I'm going to tell you, man, I can't wait to see it. But when I was coming through town, I bought you some UT that I like that interior to look like. This is the real UT orange, what I used to wear when I was in college. And now, I don't need a number 20 on the leather, but everything else I would love for the inside to look like that.
So you don't want just us to get material to match this color. You actually want to use the UT jersey.
UT jersey, that orange.
In the car.
In the car. I got to have that orange in it.
Man, that's pretty cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just some touches all throughout. When you're building a car for Earl Campbell, you really want those touches to stand out. And putting these jerseys in the interior, this is definitely the way to go. Everybody's going to know whose car it is.
Oh, yeah. I feel like a junior high football player getting promoted to the varsity on that level.
We built a lot of cool cars and trucks around, but this is by far probably definitely my favorite one.
A 49 Caddy.
Yes, sir.
An orange interior. That's going to be great.
Man, we're going to make it happen.
You got it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Shock me. Knock me out of my socks, but I'm ready.
All right.
How's she looking?
It's looking real good. Considering, where it's at now and where it started with, night and day. Repairing clearing the rust on this thing, rebuilding the floor, the drive shaft tunnel, transmission tunnel, building this car to the new chassis, to the new suspension, to the new engine, the LSX under the hood. Man, this is going to be cool.
Just the hours that are in this area, much less the rest of the car.
There's definitely a lot of custom modifications to this thing, especially the firewall, to really get this thing looking like a car. When Earl pops the hood on this thing,
man, he's going to be so impressed.
For the new LSX, we're making custom intakes and exhaust, and it's wheels, tires, and brakes. As soon as we get this thing painted, we're going to get it over to interior for custom door panels, seats, console, and headliner. The stereo that's going in this thing, all the little custom accents. You know what you give a guy that has everything? 49 custom Cadillacs, that's what you give them. The only thing left to do is just paint it and then everything else. Let's start with just the paint.
Let's get in the booth.
Let's get it pushed in there. All right, man. You got this?
Got this.
One of the things Earl wanted from the very beginning is black paint. And Chris is getting that thing going now.
We are going to make sure that we get enough paint on this car that any imperfections or whatever, we want them to be covered. We'll put as many coats as it takes to get this car as black as possible. I met Bill back when we were, in our teens. We were in a truck club here in Houston, and he started doing air suspension. He did some work on one of my trucks a long time ago. I think when I was 18. I did it for 15 years straight. It's fun to do. I enjoy it. I grew up watching Earl Campbell play football, and, people are going to see this car, and whoever knows it and who don't know it, at least I'll know I painted it. I'll know I did a good job when I can tell that it looks like you can just dive into this paint job because the color is going to look so deep. Cadillac out of the booth, and now that it's painted and cleared, the next process is wet sanding and buffing. It has an orange peel texture, kind of leathery looking. That's why they call it orange peel. It looks like the peel of an orange. What we want to do is sand this down with our blocks of different sandpapers, get it slick as possible, and then we're going to come back and buff it to give it that nice mirror finish. The guys did such a good job on this firewall doing the bead rolling on it that I can't use this block on because it will burn the paint. When I say burn it, I mean sand through the paint. We have real problems if I do that. We'll block the flat areas with this block and sandpaper, and then we'll have to come back by hand and get around all the bead rolls with finer grit sandpaper. And I know where I can and can't go because, like I said, we do not want to burn this paint at this stage in the game. Okay, this is our last step in our wet sanding process. We've got 3,000 grit sandpaper on our DA sander. We'll run over this real quick and then we'll be ready to buff. And when we start buffing, that's what's going to bring out that mirror shine that we're looking for. You have to spend the time on it to make it as slick and smooth as possible, or when this thing's buffed, you'll be able to see every flaw that's in it. All right, we just completed the wet sanding, buffing, and polishing part of our firewall here, which is the final step in a paint job. The only thing we got left now is to do the whole rest of the car.
Most of the guys working here have spent their whole lives in Houston. John, is a lifer too. He just couldn't wait to get going on the interior. Because for guys like us, Earl's just a local legend.
I'm getting ready to start the door panels and the interior on Earl's Caddy here. So what I've done is I've just laid out some templates on the doors and the panels all the way in. Here, I got me a pencil, good eraser. We'll just sit here and figure out what we're going to make here and try to get everything incorporated in all at one time and get everything drawn out so we'll see the whole piece. We got the basic sketch down of where we're headed to, so now it's just a matter of how do we get UT in here. We don't want to make it overpowering. It needs to stay kind of subtle and just an accent in the car. So what we might do is put some sort of insert spot behind that. That might work. After looking at the placement of where I've got this armrest in relation to the seat, it's going to have to move up. So I'm not really happy with the shape that I have of the armrest. So I'm going to transfer that onto another piece. This is how these things work. You just sit here and stare at them and think about it a little while, and it'll come to you. It'll all make sense. And so I like to just sit here early in the morning, quietly, enjoy my coffee, and sketch. So all I gotta do is just lift it up and stick it to another piece of board. So you just stick that down. I'll take an alpha knife, cut that out, and that'll give me my template to work with so I can put this wherever I want it at on here. So what I'm thinking here is armrest just needs to move up to about right there. That looks good. I like where we're headed with this.
Even though there was assembly lines back when Earl's 1949 Cadillac was made, you know, a lot of stuff was made by hand. There wasn't any robots. And we're taking the same approach from the metalwork to the interior.
You know, Earl showed up the other day, brought in some jerseys, wanted us to work these into the car somehow. So my thought here is to take and use those to create that Cadillac V and drop that in right here underneath these pillows. Ought to look really cool. Just a nice pop of that burnt orange in the car without being too overwhelming. Ought to turn out looking really cool. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out the rest of the seams on the seat. I'm going to start laying out the bolsters first. I got a template that I've already drawn out for that. Make sure I have everything lined up. I want the lines exactly where I want them. In the center, what we're going to do is we're going to draw out a 2-inch tuck and roll. It's just something that was used classically back in the hot rod days. It's basically they take and they roll the leather over and you tuck it in with some foam, and it actually makes these pillow tops. Just kind of keep it the old school feeling of the 49 Cadillac, and then we'll have that modern touch of this nice, hard, solid, shaped out pillow on the top here that still has that lean to the classic styles. All right. You know, everything in here has got a nice flow. We've still got that classic feel to it with the tuck and roll. I think this little pop of orange up here in the top for these V's is going to be, get them into the trim shop, and we'll get them covered.
We put the old school 1934 Buick Model 57 on hold because the owner wanted to figure out what kind of power plant he wanted to use. He ended up with the late Model 5.3, and now we're back at it.
Got it, huh? Got it.
This is perfect for this old Buick.
It always sucks to see a project get pulled off the lift, but I'm glad he made up his mind exactly what he wanted. Now we can move forward with the rest of the car.
I wasn't really feeling taking this thing apart. It was so pristine, you know, so original. You know, it was hard to cut into it, but we pulled out the stock straight 8 motor, ripping out the old suspension, and start building fresh, you know, get the steering all mocked up. I mean, this thing's going to be a new car all underneath once we're done, you know, especially with the new 5.3.
He just had to have a new motor and transmission in it.
Exactly, man. Power, reliability. He'll never have to worry about this for sure.
I can't wait to see this thing come together. It's going to be a really, really nice old school.
The new old school.
The new old school.
Freezing cold out here today, and we're about to go drop the LS into the Buick.
The old school straight 8 is a lot wider than the straight 8. So once little one gets this thing in, we have to mock up a new steering configuration.
All right, just make sure that it doesn't hit the headlight or the paint.
Okay. Go ahead.
In?
Yeah.
This engine's pretty dirty, but when we're done with it, it's gonna look spotless.
Come in. Slowly, slowly. Watch the front bumper.
Yeah. All right, we clear?
Yeah.
Now, if we get that angle under it, then we need one more in the front, and then we can go ahead and start moving it around. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now that we have the header mocked up and the engine fully on its own in the car, the steering has to be moved now too.
You know, the owner still wants to keep as much of that original interior as possible. So we're trying to keep the old steering column.
The key to work on these beautiful cars is you gotta do yoga at least once a week. Since I can't cut right outside on the firewall, we gotta take the ignition off, release the column, and pull it out without damaging this nice, beautiful interior. Beep, beep. That was easy, wasn't it? Got it out.
Cool, man. You know, keeping the old column just fit the whole original interior in this is definitely the way to go about it. There's a problem with that, though. We don't have any way to adapt the original column to the rack and pinion that we're going to put underneath there. So we have an end of an old column. I want to graft this on to the original one.
All right.
That way we can adapt all this right to the rack and pinion, and everything will work right.
Right.
You know where to cut.
Got it.
Quick, easy, right? No, this just goes to show you there's something that wasn't even thought of when we set out to do this little project. But, you know, that's just what we do. We deal with them, keep on rolling.
Got that.
It's kind of like a Russian doll. Everything just goes in piece after piece after piece, and they're all gonna fit in perfect. Now it's time to put all the pieces together and make this custom 1934 2020 steering column. So this is not our finished product until it gets painted and fully installed, but now we're ready to mock up our rack and pinion. I gotta wash my hands because I do not want to get this interior. A while ago we were sticking all the way here, almost touching the header. Now we're right at the firewall, exactly where we measured, exactly where we wanted it to be. From here we can pivot around it and we can go straight into our rack and pinion that's going to end up being up there in the front.
So we got us a little situation here. Our rack is way up there in front, like almost a foot in front of the engine. And with our column coming out like right behind the cylinder head, we need to detour our steering shaft around the exhaust header and then go back straight to the rack. So we have to make us like a two-piece steering shaft with the center U-joint mounted on a heim joint. We got to get this thing as close as possible to the header without touching. That way it doesn't put this U-joint in so much of an angle, which is going to cause hard spots in your steering. We have 3 U-joints. There's nothing to hold it in the middle. We got to support it with this heim joint. And what this is going to do is hold this shaft in the center from moving around and hitting the headers into the chassis. That way it'll support this from moving around. We got everything in place. Now we're ready to give this a rotation. Check it out. Man, this steers pretty good. I don't feel any hard spots. I think we got this set up pretty good. Now we definitely know this car is going to steer in the right direction.
Definitely not going to make a lot of new friends with the Buick crowd cutting into this original 34 Buick. But we're still doing what we can to give this thing the respect it deserves. I have Edgar color matching the engine to the cab, and Matt's adding a super clean serpentine setup.
So now we got our motor in here. We're going to go ahead and start getting the front drive assembly on, the water pump, alternator, and everything that gets the motor running. So with this bracket here, it holds the water pump, the alternator, power steering pump. It allows everything to be more compact and gives us a lot more clearance, especially when a car like this, we barely have any clearance in the engine bay, so it tightens everything up and gives it a nice look. Now that we got our bracket on, we'll go ahead and mount our power steering pump up. We're still real tight on clearance, but it fits, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Now it's lean, mean, and ready to be seen. Got it.
Yes, man.
Definitely a big improvement from what was in it.
A lot more power and a lot more reliability.
And it kind of looks like it belongs.
Yeah, it just looks right at home in this thing. Man, Matt, it's all downhill now, huh?
Yes, sir.
You know, there's so much room on the backseat of this 49 Cadillac that John has plenty of space to come up with a couple of one-off speaker enclosures.
So what I'm gonna do to take up this space here is I'm gonna use it as a subwoofer enclosure. I'm gonna take my subwoofer, flip it upside down and downfire it into the pocket over here. Get a little back pressure loaded on the front of the subwoofer. It'll improve the sound a little bit. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'll start with the baffle of the box, and I can take that and I start building the walls of the box up and around and get the shape to it that I'm looking for. Figure out how we're gonna go about tying this whole big piece together. Let's start with the back wall that needs to be curved. Basically just cutting it every 1/4 inch, almost all the way through, and that'll allow it to bend and shape to the fender well just fine. So once I get my angle cut on it, I can go put it in the car and get it stuck. This enclosure is a little different than most of the enclosures that we build around here. It will actually become the interior trim panel of the car. It will make a top piece that comes out, but it won't come out all the way. It'll stop shy over here with some shape in it, and we'll bring it all back into here to go down. And this will turn into your armrest area up here. So when you're sitting in the back seat, you're in an armrest here, and this will all sculpt down towards the seat. In order for this material to make the shape that I want, I've made these ribs, and we'll put them around in a couple of places, and that'll give us something to attach our material to and start fiberglassing. Just gonna take a piece of this flex form carpet here, push this down in here. It'll take the shape that we want. We'll get it stapled down. That should be perfect. Now that we got that worked out, next thing we'll do is take some fiberglass resin, start piling it on here, and wait for it to get dry enough to touch so we don't get it all over the car. And once it's to that point, we're gonna put it back in the car, continue building our panels around it, get everything tied in. When you're building your custom panels like this, you want to make sure that you keep everything in consideration, keep things nice and tight so you have one nice cohesive flow through your entire panel.
Edgar painted the new LSX for Earl's 49 Cadillac. And of course, it's Texas Longhorn Orange. And we got our custom chassis back from Powder Coat. We're putting it all together with brand new air lines, brand new brake lines, all new stainless bolts, and of course, brand new Billy wheels.
Starting to look like a car now.
Yeah, looks good with 4 wheels on it.
Man, now you can actually see how the contrast is coming together. The little pop of the motor color is going to tie into a little bit of interior color. It's going to make the whole car a complete package. Man, this car is fit for Earl Campbell.
Definitely. I hope he'll let me borrow it one day.
When you're getting the body ready to put it on the frame, it makes for a really, really good day. Seeing the big pieces, man, it gets me excited. This is very quickly becoming Ivy Caddy's about to be born today. I sure be liking that chassis because you probably set it down on there, huh?
Yeah.
Looking good.
It looks real good.
You know, these are the colors he was wearing when he won the Heisman Trophy. You gotta love this, right?
Right. Man, especially being his first custom car.
I'd be happy with this, my 100th custom car.
Like a V?
Yeah, dude, it sure is. Just for this car.
With all the work we've done to Earl Campbell's 49 Cadillac, there's still something missing. So I asked Justin to build a couple of custom downpipes.
Right here on Earl's Cadillac, we got the LSX 454 crate motor stabbed in there. This thing makes 627 horsepower and 586 foot-pounds of torque at 5,000 RPM, so this thing is going to be a tire shredder for sure. So we're going to go ahead and get our throttle bodies mounted up so we can start doing our charge pipes. We got these billet throttle bodies. They're twin 102 millimeter throttle bodies, so it's going to supply a lot of air to this big cubic inch motor. We have our aluminum mandrel bends. They're 3 new now. We can kind of see that there's a lot of room in the engine bay, so we get creative on this intake system. Well, since he went to UT and old Bevo over there, we're going to go ahead and do it where it looks like almost 2 horns in the center. 5 inches off of each horn. I marked 5 inches from the end of our tube so that both of our tubes match up, and I'm going to use the tape pretty much to connect the dots so that we have a good clean cut line to follow. Let's go cut some pipe. Basically, since this is a big 454 cubic inch engine, we need to make sure that we can supply it with enough air to make that power. So that's the reason we chose the 3.5 inch dual throttle body setup. And we're going to try to put the filter placement where we're pulling good, clean, fresh air right in the front of the vehicle. So I like the way that the intake has that X pattern, so we're going to try to emulate that with our intake tubes. It's looking like we can take this 180-degree bend, split it in half, use that 90-degree angle, and it should put our pitch right exactly where we're wanting it. So now that we have all of our tubes cut, you can kind of see the direction we were talking about in the beginning where we wanted our placement of our air filters. And now that we have it with the tape kind of securing the two tubes in place, we can get it pulled off and we'll weld it up. So on this tube here, I'm going to end up welding it clockwise, coming around this way. And on this tube here, I'm going to come counterclockwise. It's going to give it one of those little small details that most people wouldn't notice, but, you know, to the ones that do it, they'll appreciate it. So we're going to go test fit them on the Caddy, see how they look. If everything looks good, we can go ahead and pull them off and polish them. So now that we got everything wrapped up, everything's installed, see everything fits like we wanted, I think Earl will be real happy with this when he sees it.
After a lot of hard work and some tough decisions, this 1934 Buick's finally done. You know, I was really reluctant about cutting out all the old factory suspension, but once we got into it, that's what we do.
Bill called me and said the car was ready to come and look at it, so I invited the guys, Silveranos Car Clubs of Houston. All my friends are here, their cars are here. We're all excited to look at the Buick.
What's going on, man?
See you, man.
Javier, how you doing, man? Good to see you. What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's up?
You got the whole crew out, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You know, after looking at your whole crew's cars, I can definitely see why you wanted to do what you wanted to do.
Oh, yeah, man. I got to keep up with them, so.
Yeah. Your Buick now, it'd definitely fit in with the crowd for sure.
Oh, I can't wait. All right. Hey, good deal, man. Man, she looks pretty. Damn, bro. Oh, my God. Good deal, man. Awesome. All right, man. Good job, man. How you doing, man?
Man, what you think about that thing?
Man, it looks good. Beautiful. I love the way it looks, the stance, the wheels.
You know, first things first, we got this thing on the lift and just started fresh with a new rear end, built independent front suspension for it with all air all the way around. That thing's gonna ride good, handle good, and be reliable for sure.
Now you know why I asked you to do what I wanted to do, right?
You know, Javier, I gotta admit, once this thing's down on the ground like that, man, it changes the whole look.
Yeah.
Definitely made the right decision for sure.
Yeah.
One other thing you wanted was the reliability and some power under the hood, right?
Right.
Let's check out under the hood.
How'd you fit that thing in there?
Started out ripping that old engine and trans out and just getting a pull-out 5.3, stripping it all down, really dressed it up, make it look good. So when you pop the hood, you got something to be proud of.
Man, wonderful.
It was tough, but definitely worth it. We had to do a vintage era frame that's such a narrow frame in it. We had to custom make all the steering to get around the headers, and everything had to be one-off, especially because of the fitment.
The old engine looked like an antique. This is state of the art. This car went from being real cool to real gangster.
You probably got 10 times the power that this thing came with. We'll see if you can keep some tread on these old cokers here.
All right, can't wait.
Taking a late model engine, sticking in such an antique car, you'd think it'd probably stick out. But all the work we put into this engine, making it look the way it does, it's like it was made for this car. What do you guys think, man? You gonna let this guy cruise around with you?
Yeah.
I'm so happy now that I can just get in this car, start it up, and show it off. Thanks a lot, man.
You're welcome, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right.
You know, sometimes in this business, you really got to lean on your guys. You know, on the Caddy, we really had to lean on John. You know, he's really coming through. Every little detail he's adding is 100.
We get started on the rear deck for the 49 Caddy. We're going to start by cutting out our base out of MDF. We'll take that over to the car, get that in place, and start building it up from there. The back deck has a curve in it, so we'll make two pieces. I'm going to take some fiberall here and mix it up and use that to actually put these two pieces, especially with it being up here in the rear deck of the car. You know, that's It takes a lot of heat up here. We want something that's really going to be able to stand up and not give us any issues. This will be the riser that'll come up from the rear deck that helps tie it into the back of the seats. All right, we got this thing all dried up, positioned, ready to go. So I'm gonna pop this thing out, take it across the way, put it on the table, we'll finish it out there.
You know, Earl Campbell's 49 Cadillac is just one of those builds where we're just making as many parts as we can by hand. Ryan's finishing up the custom exhaust on one side. Now he's mirror imaging it to the other.
The first side is always the easiest. Mirroring it is the hardest part about it. It's just a lot of marking, fine-tuning, a bunch of small cuts until you get that final exact perfect fit that we're looking for. And you know, it's easier to cut a little bit at a time than cut a whole bunch and then have to either add or go find another piece and start all over again. Well, the reason I'm putting the V-band here is because the muffler and all that, all the way to the header is all one piece right now and one full piece. Houston, 40 degrees in the morning, 80 degrees at lunch. This point of the exhaust is the most complex of it all because of this bin that I got right here and then just what I have to work with and just the limited amount of space. So trying to make this work and flow and not cause any restriction and also clear everything is pretty tricky, but hopefully I can get exactly what I'm looking for out of this and make it go all the way and dump out the back instead of stopping right here. Alright, so I didn't let it beat me. We were able to make it come all the way out to the back. That's gonna look tight from the back. Whenever you're driving behind it, see that? That's gonna look dope. So now all we got left to do is just make some hangers, drill some O2 bungs, weld it all up, and throw it back in the car. I think if Earl ever gets to take a look underneath this car, he should be very happy. I know I am.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Bill?
On this build, there was a lot of parts had to get chromed, but that grill, you know, that grill's something special. We had to make sure this thing shined. You got something for me?
Oh, yeah, I got something for you, buddy. I got your grill.
Man, that thing looks good, Victor.
It's a 1940.
Dip this thing in chrome, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Well, you do it in 30 minutes. Nah.
You had to take the whole thing apart, huh?
The whole thing apart. Yeah. Okay, these 5 pieces right here, they're made of stainless steel. So you got to be careful with them, you know, when you polish them, you chrome plate them.
Yeah, and it's not just this either. Of course, you got such a good reflection. You look down here, you see everything up here, so everything back here has to look just as good.
Like that.
Because this thing's pretty much a mirror now.
Yeah.
Victor, you sure this is the same one?
The same one, buddy.
This thing looks brand new. I think it's better new.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
Man, I appreciate it, Victor.
It's all yours, buddy. Let's be careful now.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, a ton of interior work's been done to this 49 Cadillac, but there's still a ton more to go. You know, John's got his work cut out for him, building custom speaker pods, cup holders, and pockets. Man, these door panels are gonna be cool.
So now I got the speaker pod and cup holder pocket all ground out in shape. The next component that I need to finish for the door panel is the armrest. So I'll just take my template here, just gonna trace it out. I'll come in and rough cut it, and we'll route it. All right, got them all cut out. Next step to do, sand them down, glue them up, and then stack them. You just kind of come up with ideas in your head and then think of ways to execute your ideas. You know, the stacking method here is basically just to get a big chunk to carve out of, as you would any other sculpture, really. So the next thing you're gonna do is gotta put the hand pull in this thing. I've got a template here, so I'll have it for both sides. Trace it out. All of this in here is gonna get carved out, so we have some place to put fingers, grab a hold of it, and close it. You know, Earl came in the other day, he had a challenge. He really wants to get this UT burnt orange color in the car. We're gonna take this, cut it up, and wrap a few pieces. That will work. This is where all that body working and sanding really starts to pay off. You can actually start to see what you've made, see the final product. Everything starts to come together. You can see all your lines, your details, and if you don't put all that time and effort into it, when you get to this point, it'll start to show too. All right, well, that's a wrap. Only thing left to do now is get it on the car and get the speakers in it and get everything buttoned up, and this thing will be ready to roll.
I love working on Cadillacs because that's just the car of the industry.
It's one of those cool cars that was always fun because they were the luxury of the time.
Cadillac rolls in here.
We're all fighting to work on it.
I hope I get to work on it.
John knows with that Cadillac, he can put 15 speakers in the trunk. You know you can make it as low as you want and make it go as fast as you want. I just want to be the porter and drive around the parking lot. I mean, that's what I want to do. Of course, we did the 59 for Slim. We cut the roof off, made it a Roadster.
Night and day difference in that
just
car.
doing the windshield wrap around on that car.
Yeah, stretching the back out, moving the seats that far back to make room for
That's
him.
one thing Cadillacs always had, is plenty of room.
Nothing said America like Cadillac.
As American as...
You know, apple pie. They'll keep making them. We'll keep customizing them. People keep eating them.
You know, I can remember being young and my dad watching Earl Campbell just killing people every week. He just rooted for him, you know, every time he played. You know, when people hear now that we're building a car for Earl Campbell, you hear all the stories of how good a player he was and just how he dominated everybody on the field. You know, every step of the way on this 49 Cadillac, you know, Earl's been an inspiration to us. You know, the consistency, you know, that's what we were going for in building this Cadillac. You know, so today it's an honor to give Earl his car back. The 49 Cadillac is something I'm very proud of, and every guy in the shop is proud of. I'm kind of jealous, man. This is a cool car.
Hey, Tim, you can't tell me anything about this car, man.
Man, I don't want to tell you anything. I want to keep it a surprise for you till Bill gets here. One thing I will tell you is it's all in one piece now. All them buckets it showed up in and records that it showed up on, it's in a whole lot better shape than what it was.
Earl came all the way from Austin to Houston just to see this car we built for him. You know, the last time you seen it, it was in thousands of pieces. I can't wait to show it to him now.
How you doing, Bill?
Man, what's going on?
I'm here to see that bad boy, Caddy. Oh, yeah, man.
Man, you saved me just in time. You've been picking my brains wanting to see this thing.
What do you think, Earl? I know you've been waiting a while. You ready to see this thing?
I'm ready. I can't wait, Bill.
Man, Timmy, let's do it.
Here she comes.
It was fun building this. This is something we're all super proud of for sure.
Come on, man. Hurry up. Let's get this car uncovered. Look at that. Whoa, man. That is great.
What you think, Earl?
Golly, Bill, when this car first got here, that paint job, that black. Man, that bumper, that's a hell of a lot of chrome.
There's plenty of black and plenty of chrome on this thing.
Oh, man, that's great.
Man, Earl, you know, it's a huge challenge to make, you know, parts in the parking lot into a car looking like this. You know, we first started off getting this thing on the lift, doing rust repair. You know, getting a car this old, this straight, and the gaps right on this, the body guys, that's showing their skills right there. A 49 Cadillac don't come like that. You make it like that.
Yes.
Yeah, especially when the panels come in the back of a truck all thrown together, just thrown in that truck.
Come on, man. You guys don't let me forget that, huh?
You know, especially black. You know, looking down the side of this thing is laser straight.
Man, that is beautiful.
You know, building a chassis on this thing, Earl, motor mounts, new rear end, new front suspension, air suspension, so this thing lays real low to the ground too. Every nut, bolt, everything is 100% brand new. You have a brand new 49 Cadillac.
Just to see it all put together, I was amazed. I mean, the chrome on it, the lovely lady on the front. I mean, I just can go on. I just couldn't believe it.
Earl, you had a couple stipulations. You wanted this car to be some power under the hood.
That's right.
We got something for you under there.
Let's see. Good nurse.
Earl, you said you wanted some power under the hood in this thing. The 454 LSX is the one for it.
And burnt orange.
Yep.
That's great, man.
Building all new firewall in this thing, all new sheet metal molded onto the fenders, new core support. John came in and just bead roll you a nice, cool panels in there. You know, it's got the little Cadillac V recessed down in it.
On the wall, man. It's unbelievable.
You know, Earl, when Justin was making the air intakes of this, he took a design cue from, UT mascot Bevo, kind of replicated the Longhorn on the
Yeah, sure, you kind of see that's an intakes.
One of your honors in life was the Hall of Fame, so we wanted to make you a medallion here to hold the two pipes together. John machined us a deal. This is 1991 Hall of Fame with a little football on it.
There's no mistaking whose car this is.
That's right.
Let's check out the interior of this thing.
Wow.
Man, last time you seen this thing, there was just piles and piles and piles of parts for the interior on this thing, right?
Yes, man, it's got the burnt orange on the door.
Man, we know you had to have that UT orange and sewn them into the interior itself. All this is handmade by old John Burgess himself.
Yes, they did a great job.
It's got you a little something special back there in the rear deck as well.
Yes.
You get the little Longhorns incorporated in the back, all the way up into the Dakota Digital gauges.
Now, there's some special numbers in your life of what you've been through. So 20, you were a Heisman at UT.
That's right.
34, you were a Houston Oiler, and then 91, you went to the Hall of Fame.
That's right. There's no doubt everything in this car says Earl Campbell. I mean, they went out of their way and beyond. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more. Oh, man. Yeah, grief. That's down in the dirt.
That just changes the whole attitude, right?
Yes, sir. When you see that 49 Caddy sitting up, that's one thing. But when you see it go down all the way in the grass, that's bad. You got a 49 after that.
I try to make this thing as comfortable and as cool for you as possible. It's got 24x9s in the front and 22x12s in the rear.
I never seen a rim like that before. That's one of a kind. I love it. What a beautiful car.
I like your car, man.
I'm really happy it's mine. I'm happy it's mine. Thank y'all very much for what y'all done. You and your team should be very proud.
The whole process from start to finish, it took some time. It was a labor of love for every guy. I can't thank my guys enough. And this is just one more example of us just
Cut $10,000 off this truck. Oh, you didn't just bring more wiring over here.
size-wise. This 2019 Polaris is a small vehicle for us, but it's got some big issues.
Heck, having this thing.
Man, this thing was in a tornado. Anything we can do to help you, man, and help your granddaughter, you know we're in.
If this ain't hooked up correctly, nothing's gonna work.
Oh, no way!
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
You know, what better way to have a little family bonding than having your kids help you cut up a car? And before I send this thing off to get scrapped, I figured I'd give my kids a little lesson on how to use some tools and cut some metal.
I've never really used, tools like this. It's not that bad, except for it's just, pumping my arms out, but that's all right. It's a good workout, and I really like working out, so I guess it's fine.
Couple little more pieces, the whole roof's gonna be off. Go out on your side. Yep. What do you think?
Heck.
First convertible?
Yes.
It's a good family day. We cut up the car, and so now we're just gonna have some fun.
Test it out.
Yeah.
Hey, where's Cleve at? Cleve! Come on! Come on! I can't really tell you personally how many donuts I've done in this parking lot. Maybe 1 million or so. But this is Cleve's first, and he seemed really happy to be here. this thing in a stage like this, it finally feels like this thing's coming together. You know, after being so long just a cab on the lift, feels like we're getting some things done.
It's been a lot of hard work.
You got that right. I mean, just getting this thing apart's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
We're months into making this 2020 Denali 3500, one of the first ever body drop in the world. The owner wants to haul some of his other show cars with it to SEMA. So we had to put more engineering into this thing to make it perform even better than he wants. With a body back on the frame, it looks like we're almost done, but I can tell you, we're a long ways away.
Oh, Lord, what are you guys trying to pull a house or something? That's serious.
Damn right it is. I mean, this transfers all the weight from a trailer. Sometimes it could be 20, 30,000 pounds of stopping and starting. Goes to this right here.
So we can put a house on there.
Absolutely. Just from the start of this, get it on the lift and tearing it apart was a major job. You know, laying the chassis out, building the chassis on the table, getting the frame underneath this, you know, rear suspension, just to get to this stage is huge amount of labor.
I know.
This is not just double work or triple work. It's not even quadruple. What's after quadruple?
A lot.
The finishing work on a build like this is always the hardest part. It's a huge build, but the small details, they take a lot of time. Now that we got the foundation, we can build the front suspension and huge wheel tubs that tuck those big old 28-inch wheels. Color match the frame and plastics, create a fully articulating speaker system in the bed, and finding space to put everything back together under the body. And that's rewiring, reconnecting, rebuilding, making this truck 100% brand new again, just like it is.
We got a lot of work done, but there's still a whole lot of work to do and a whole lot of parts to order. So let's get to it.
Let's get it.
This stage of the build, it's all about making room underneath the body to cram everything back in. So Tim and John are getting started to making room for these big old wheels.
The name of the game is the bigger the wheels, the lower to the ground. And you know as well as I know.
Most important thing,
The brakes.
the brake system.
We're not going to cut the factory fender tabs off. We're going to use those to line everything back up. That way it'll look factory from the outside, and it'll keep all the factory gaps exactly the same. We're going to build back a support with some DOM. We need something that's going to keep all these tabs 100% where they're at and keep this where it's at. Because then the fender will bolt right back up here, and all this will gap back perfect. The hood will shut perfect. Everything will stay right.
You know, I've seen a lot of custom builds where they made something look good, but later on down the road, it just didn't hold up. Yeah, so we got to fit it down, huh? We got to have form and function, stability. What good is a cool car if you can't drive it down the road safely? Pretty damn good.
That's going to work. That clears the hinge, clears the hood, supports that.
Clears a gas shock too, so we don't have to mess with that.
I think everything's going to be perfect.
I'm holding the fender tabs right to the support to keep everything in line. Now we got our new support in there. We can remove all of this to get our new big wheel in there. There you go. Starting to see this thing getting put together and starting to look like a whole truck again.
You see the door gap, it all lines back up perfect. We don't even have to sit there and try to make the fender mounts.
Yep, and it's looking real good.
While Tim and John are making good progress on the 2020 Denali's front end, I'm going to get started making articulating speaker brackets for the bed. You know, just having a drop dually, big wheels all the way on the ground just isn't enough. You just got to have that little bit more. So we're going to make a speaker bracket that mounts 4 speakers in the bed and articulates up. So when he's parked, he can actually raise it up and the sound projects over the bed and out to everywhere. I took a couple of quick measurements off the bed with the bed cover, with the wheel wells, and made a quick drawing on the table so I know exactly what kind of room we have to work with, and we'll come up with some kind of mount that's going to be cool. Just a lot of figuring out to do. You know, there's a lot of pivot points, a lot of measuring. We'll see what happens. We need to make one a little shorter to maybe kick it up a little bit or kick it down a little bit. You can play with all those little angles, all those little pivot points to make the
bushings.
Man, that's something to start out, but having some articulation like this, where it actually moves and it's got function to it, man, that's that next step.
I'm using the measurements from the rods and bolts to make the final articulating arms for the speakers.
Something like that.
I want these things quick, so Max and Jesse are going to weld these things out, all while me and Jamie are going to make the frame to hold all these mounts to the bed. You know, it's one thing to lay it out on the table and make little bitty mounts and get it in your head, okay, it's going to work, but when you actually convert that over to the bracketry and drill holes and spend time making all the pivot points right, the little bars right, you put it all together, you know, there is some question there if it's really going to work. So right now we're going to put it together and actually see if it's going to do what we need to do.
You just have that in your head, just popped it out.
I mean, figure it out until it works. See what works. Speaker about here, you know, facing out, then coming out over the bed. It's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like really cool.
We finished fabric's gonna make room for it in the bed.
All right, now we're to the point we need to put this bed on the new frame. But as you can see, the notch of the frame and the gooseneck hitch is gonna stick through the bed. So what I'm gonna do right now is just cut a hole out in this bed floor so I can get it on there, and then we'll go back and figure out how we're gonna fill this back in. When this truck's laid out all the way on the ground, you'll be able to walk up, look in the bed, and the gooseneck hitch and the bag mounts are gonna show through the bed floor. And you get to appreciate all the work that went into this frame, which for me is a nice change, because a lot of times we'll do all this and it simply gets covered up. All right, now we have a hole.
I'm about to cut $10,000 off this truck. We gotta remove all this, because once that truck lays down on the floor, we need room for that big tire to reach all the way up here. Now we get all this out the way, now we got plenty of room for these big wheels and tires.
Which means it's got 4 wheels in the back. So that means we need to make even larger wheel tubs in the bed to fit those 28-inch tires.
This is how we roll our sheet metal to get the same radius as our wheel tub. And we need a little bit more. So the tub got to be extra wide to accommodate both dually wheels on the back of this truck. So what we're gonna do is butt weld the new piece to the old piece, and what that is fitting them tightly together on edge and welding right along the crease. Just to let you know, welding around magnets sucks. These magnets hold the pieces of metal together while I weld, which is good, but because the welder uses a metal wire, that same magnet disrupts the arc connection. So it can be a little tricky. Welding is nearly impossible.
John officiated the marriage of these two pieces of metal. Relationships have ups and downs and bumps. So me, I'm a marriage counselor. I'm gonna smooth this out.
On fire today.
Things got a little smoky around here.
What's up, Doug?
Hey, Bill, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man.
In the custom car business, it's always good to get those repeat customers. We worked on Doug's 48 GMC truck years ago. Good to see you, man. What are we doing with this thing?
Well, we're not doing anything to the truck. We're going to focus on the most important thing. That's my granddaughter's Polaris.
That?
This.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I know it don't look like a Polaris today, but it used to. Her house was hit by a tornado on Easter Sunday, an EF4 tornado in South Mississippi. They lost everything. Destroyed the house, destroyed everything, lost all of her toys, clothes, and she lost her Polaris. And this was the most important thing that she was looking for after the tornado. So we've got to get it fixed. The tornado hit my daughter's house with our 3 grandchildren in it. Scared me and my wife to death. We were here in Houston. She called us right before it happened. And then it was 15, 20 minutes before she called us back and told us they were okay. Very scary moment. When everything was done, and this was the first thing she went to looking for. And it was 250 yards away, and you can tell that it may have barrel rolled once. So that's why this Polaris is so important.
You know, we customized a lot of vehicles in all different stages of the customization, but never one that's been through a tornado. I don't know if there's really much hope for this thing, but we're definitely going to see what we can do. I think the first thing we need to do is actually get this thing down and really see what we got to do. You know, get that frame back straight. I know there's probably going to be some frame issues, and put new plastics on it, make sure that all bolts back together right. And I think instead of just bolting the factory cage back on, just build something cool for her. Make it so she's, you know, not only looking cool, but safe also.
Absolutely. She loves this thing, and whatever you do is going to make it that much better, Bill.
Yeah, this thing's going to be cool. You know, this isn't a normal project we do around here. You know, but being so close to the Gulf, we know all about what those storms can do. Anything we can do to help you, man, and help your granddaughter, you know we're in.
Man, I appreciate you, Bill. That's why I come to see you.
You know, a job like this is what I would normally turn away. But, you know, when an old friend brings it in and it has such a heartwarming story, you don't have any choice but to help out. Looking at this after it's been in a storm the way it has, and just seeing the steel being mangled and rolled over, but it just shows you how much power the wind has. Then I'm just happy no one was hurt in that. I'm going to pull this into the shop, and everybody's going to go, what are you doing? What's this here for? But once they hear the story and they hear who it's for, I know they're going to be all in. By the time we get a small project, right?
The heck happened to this thing? It looks like somebody jumped it.
Man, this thing was in a tornado. The wind did this. Chunked this thing a quarter mile. You know, it's Doug's granddaughter. She just cherished this thing. This was her favorite thing to have, right? And they lost their house. They lost everything. So we need to bring this thing back to life. What I want to do is get it in the shop so we got a nice level surface. Let's take off all the plastics and, you know, skirting on this thing to see what's bent and what's straight.
Yeah, I'm sure once you get all this off, all kind of stuff's going to be...
Yeah, I'm definitely afraid of that, but it ain't something we can't handle for sure. Now, once we get everything back straight, I want to go back with new plastics, bumpers, front and rear. And we'll probably wrap the new plastics too to not have the
everybody else look.
Exactly. If we're going to do it, we might as well make it special for it. We'll put doors on this thing, to get rid of that. It's not as safe as doors on this thing. We'll top it off with some lighting, and she had speakers underneath here, but we'll add some cool ones to it. Once we get all the bottom of this thing all nice and straight, we'll go back with a custom cage, just a one-off, and we'll make the roof a little longer, stronger, meaner, and a lot cooler looking.
It's really cool to do this back for her and make it all back to something she really enjoyed. It's going to be better than Christmas for her.
Be nice to be a part of that, right?
Yeah.
Doug's definitely going to be Grandpa of the Year.
I might adopt him as my grandpa.
Keegan and Joey are going to tear this down so I can see what shape the chassis is in.
Did you ever have one of these in here, kid?
Not something like this big, but maybe a little small, like a little tiny 4x4.
Little small one?
Yeah, ride around every once in a while.
Good?
Yeah.
Good over there? Ready to go up.
Tweak to the rear of the frame on the little side-by-side. So what I'm going to use is the porta-power here. It's basically a slender jack. So you put the little pieces together until it fits into place, put it in between the frame and the bent part of the frame, jack it up perfectly straight when I'm done. Double check the level real quick on that.
It's riding the line a little bit, but it's still in between the lines.
We want it on the money.
Well, it's off. It needs to come up on this one.
This one? Up?
Yes. Come on up, right there.
Being thrown through the air like it was, this frame is in better shape than I thought it was going to be. Check it right here. But even small bends to it can have huge consequences.
It's kind of wobbly on that thing.
So our first step, we need to straighten it up.
Go up on it?
Yeah. Go up, Mo. Up. Okay. Yeah. Hold on just a second. Let's get a long piece of tubing and stick right here. We went just a little too far, so we can give it a little tweak. Okay. You know, so we're jacking it up, push a little bit. So you got to push it up just past level, so when the tension releases, it comes back level, right? Well, we went just a little bit too far, so we're just going to take a big bar, twist that sucker again, and make it perfect. Man, do that one more time. I think you got it. Perfect. Size-wise, this 20, but because of the tornado literally threw it a quarter of a mile, it's got some big issues. You know, Jamie fixed the axles, we straightened the frame, so now we can put on new plastics and doors.
All right, Jamie, I think we're ready for the door, man.
Well, let's see what happens.
Try to get the other door on.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Hey, Bill.
Huh?
Everything's in. Man, this is how much further than it's supposed to be.
34 and 3/8 to the center of that hole.
That one ain't in the same shape.
That's 32 and 1/8. Yeah, it's been a little bit.
It's got a belly.
Typical job, you know, you thought was cut and dry. Okay, this is bent, let's fix it. Done. Everything should line up, right? Well, that's not the way it works. Start putting the doors on it, notice, whoa, this doors overlaps the body by an inch. So trying to just bend it back an inch is going to be pretty difficult.
Where do we even start to pull it?
Let's get this thing off of here, get it loaded up on the back of the wrecker. Okay. We'll strap it down and see if we can pull it with the winch.
Cool.
Tilt forward. We got the front and the back of the frame are still tweaked. So we're going to use the wrecker and the winch to stretch the body, all while keeping the integrity of the frame. And it's the only tool I can think of. We can pull it at multiple points at one time and still hold everything from the back, strap it down to the wrecker. So we'll see what happens. Here, come do this real quick. Let me look at it.
Okay. Ready?
I'll tell you when to stop. Just as easy as you possibly can.
All right.
Okay, do it again. All right. Cut off. All right. You know, the wrecker and the winch definitely done its job. Door's got plenty of room now. We definitely tweaked it, moved it forward. You know, the next thing is getting everything back nice and level so it all lines up and everything will be on the money. On the other side of the shop, Tim and John are finishing up the extra large wheel tubs on that 2020 Denali.
Now we got a completed extended rear tub. Now I can get this placed in the bed, clamped with a straight edge across the top, get it tacked in place.
That fits nicely. I like it.
Place.
Now we can weld these things fully and get ready to move on to capping these edges and putting the bed back on the truck.
We have the tubs made here. Now we need to make the filler go down to here. Something to keep the dirt out of there, the mud, the water coming out all the way. This will really just enclose the wheels and is that strength and structure to the tub. So we're gonna tack it, when we come back and grind it, it'll all look like one piece, like it wasn't made out of three pieces. This whole tub will look like a one piece you just set in here.
Because the Denali needs to look like a show truck and perform like a work truck, we need to build a massive set of control arms to keep all that weight going straight down the road.
Building control arms for a bigger truck, you want to have a stronger arm than your typical square body or regular half-ton pickup truck. That's why we use thicker material, bigger, better ball joints to be able to accommodate not only the weight of the vehicle, but the weight that's actually attached to the back of it as well.
Go ahead and throw the wheel on just to make sure when it pushes out we're not hitting here. We clear everything. See what it looks like laid out too.
Yeah. The top of this bar is going to rip. That represents our suspension being bottomed out completely, which in turn means the truck laid out all the way on the floor.
Now you You think it looks good in there? You got to see it from out here. It ate up half that wheel, put it all the way in there. It looks good. It looks real good.
Does it look as good as me?
We sent the chassis off to powder coat. Now we can get to reconnecting, which is probably miles of wire, back into a space that's way more limited.
So when we first got started with this truck, I was hooking all of this, that was easy. Very easy. But going back and putting it all in, laying all the harnesses out, that's really, really not fun. Oh, you didn't just bring more wiring over here. I was starting to feel good until I seen you walk over with that. Was that heavy?
A little bit. Now I know why this is a 1 ton.
Needed a 1 ton just to hold up all the harness.
Yeah. You got this, buddy.
We'll have to get that box to fit through there.
Gotta get all these wires, all these sensors, everything plugged back. Almost everything works on a loop, where if this isn't connected, half the truck on that side won't work. If something's not connected, a little sensor in the back, this might not work, that might not work. So everything has to be plugged in. This is factory, so the computer doesn't throw any codes or act like there's a problem anywhere.
Custom frame for the 2020 Denali is back from powder coat. The white is going to match perfect with the body.
Yeah, the powder makes a really, really nice coating on it, and it gets into every crack and crevice. From the raw steel, raw tubing, raw pipe, to this, it's come a long ways. It looks totally different once you get some color on it.
Definitely, looks real good.
The fact that it's color matched to the truck, it didn't look like you just took some frame and put anything. You know that frame goes to that truck on those wheels. Everything unloaded, everything's situated on the table. We can start assembling the frame, put the motor and transmission on it, roll it underneath the body and put the body down. And it's gonna look good. The big billet wheels on it, going down the road.
Tornado damage on the 2019 Polaris. Now Jamie and I are gonna build a custom cage from scratch. You know, the tornado definitely threw this thing for many loops, but you know, we got this thing back where it needs to be. The next step is building the cage. So once the cage is built, tied into the framework of the little side-by-side, everything is going to be super strong and not bend or give. And it's going to hold everything perfectly level and straight. So what I'm going to do first is just start bending some pipe up, get the angles right, and kind of step back and look at it, see what feels right, and just keep building upon that. Send it over here. Jump to the forward, please. What I want to do is build a sporty custom cage. We obviously have to replace what's missing. So if we're going to do that, I want to make something, you know, a little bit lower profile, stretch it a little bit. Instead of just buying a new one online, you know, that's what we do. We build custom things. So not only, you know, put some safety back in it, some rigidity back in it, but put some custom coolness back in it too. I like the way how everything flows, man. It looks good, and it's super strong too. She's gonna be happy.
Definitely looks real good together.
My kids are gonna be so jealous.
Oh, we gotta build another one?
Man, it's come a long way since this little side-by-side was tossed by the tornado. Jamie's making a custom aluminum roof.
That bit's nice. We're happy with that.
And we had a custom wrap made for it. We're adding in a brand new stereo system and some light bars. I can't wait for Doug's granddaughter to see this thing now. So I'm really excited. You know, we finally got this project done. Today's the day we're going to give it back to some special little girl. You know, typically I would usually turn a project away like this, but, you know, considering it's for Doug and what it means to Doug and his family, you know, I can't not help out on this.
What's going on, Bill? Hey, good to see you.
How you doing, man?
This is
Hi.
my granddaughter, McKinley.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I heard a lot about you. Grandpa's pretty proud of you.
That's right.
Your grandpa was telling me you were in a little scary little incident a while back. Tell me what happened.
There was a tornado.
You were in the tornado? Was that scary?
Yeah.
Man, I bet it was. Not only your house was totally gone, there was something you really loved was gone too, right? What was that?
My buggy.
The wind took it way far away?
Down to our pond.
In the pond? It was messed up bad, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Her buggy was only 6 months old, so I knew I had to bring it here to get it fixed. It meant a lot to her. Now it's time to see what Bill and the boys have done.
I tell you what, we got you fixed up. Grandpa got you fixed up. You ready to check it out?
Yeah.
I bet you are. I bet you ready to ride.
You ready to ride?
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
Let's see it. Holy cow, look at that, McKinley. Man, that is awesome, Bill. Look at that. What do you think?
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah.
Golly. Wow. Bill, that don't even look like the same buggy.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Man.
Last time you seen it was a little squished, huh?
Yeah. When the buggy came out, I was so excited to see it. Let's just say I was speechless.
Man, that thing looks great, Bill. Tell me what all y'all did.
Well, you seen the parts we had to work with, right?
Yeah, I did.
Once we put it on the lift, we started dismantling it. We really noticed the frame was hurt a lot more than originally thought.
Yeah.
You know, the plastics and everything were hiding a lot of damage underneath there. It had to replace the rear axle, replaced all the plastics. So we put new bumpers on it. And of course, it didn't have...
What's that on the door?
A tornado.
A tornado?
Had Pixelworks come over and they custom wrapped it. They designed this wrap for you.
For you. You know how we know it's just for you? It's got Doodle on the door.
Hey, where'd you get the name Doodle?
Popsy gave it to me.
Popsy gave it to you? That's awesome.
Man, it looks great, Bill. It really does.
Build a whole new cage. We made all that in-house. Instead of buying, just a replacement, we made it a little bit shorter and a little bit more laid back. Get it a little more cool look, sleek look. Made a new roof for it, made it a little bit longer. We made it all out of aluminum. Went back with lighting. Had to put the stereo back in it. And we put some little antennas on the back with lights in them.
That's all. What do you say?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Doug, I know this is special for you, and it's special for us.
Man, that's nice, isn't it?
Thank you for letting us be a part of this very special project. Over on the other side of the shop, the guys are making good progress on the rolling chassis. And now it's the moment of truth.
4 links to the axle, hook the airbags up, and then we'll be able to run all the brake lines, the brake calipers, put the front wheels on, we can air it up and roll it out. But we have to put all the wiring on there, all the modules, the DEF, all that's going back on. So the whole thing will be hooked back up like it was factory. Now it's just the tedious part of just putting it all back together.
This 2020 Denali wants this low and loud. We got the low taken care of. Now to make it loud by finishing up the articulating speakers. I got the hard part done. I got the lifting part that's going to lift the speakers over the bed. The next step to all this is making it motorized. So I'm going to put an actuator on the back to lift this up. But I'm going to try to do it with just one actuator and trying to make it lift evenly. That's another little trick too. So once that's all set up, put 12 volts to it, it should lift these speakers right up over the bed. It's pretty dang close. The whole object of this whole bracketry is pushing a button and having the speakers come out of the bed. Just whole overall project, right? What I'm going to do is cut out a piece of 2x2 square tubing to make a bracket for the lower part of the actuator. Affix it to the whole bracket, push a button, and it lifts up. We got all our little pieces cut. We got everything mocked up. The next step is putting some power to it and see if this actually works. Everything we build, you have a general idea. Once you have the idea, then you start building plans. The main thing is just having the creativity of having the idea. That's a huge hurdle. Once you have that, it's just using your skills, using your tools, and just making it happen. Pretty cool.
Everything back from powder coat. We've got all the front suspension on, the rear suspension's on, brake lines are ran, fuel lines are ran. We're at the exciting point now. We can finally marry this cab to this chassis. It's like you do everything, and here's the keys to the new house. Now you can move in.
Is that in?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Just trying to line up here to line up this bolt with this hole. There, go straight down. It makes it much easier. Plus, the motor's so tight, the transmission's so tight that you don't have a lot of room side to side. Right? Ready?
Yeah.
So we put it down. It's a little bit too far off. We'll hit the body. We could hit a module. Could hit something else. So we're taking a little bit of time. Line this up. Drop the whole thing down, and everything should clear. How's the radiator look?
We're getting close.
Watch your fingers. We made the cab to the chassis. We're about to do the bed to the chassis. All right, we gotta watch this bar when we set this down. We can't scratch it. Down. Go forward. Down. All right. Okay. Thank you. Good job, guys. And now you can see the bed on the truck. You can see all the notch coming through that's gonna hold the gooseneck. All that white shining through the black bed liner just stands out and pops really nice.
Now we got about 40% of the wiring done. This thing got so much electrical going on. It's about a full day of work just messing with wiring. This is the main fuse box to the whole vehicle. If this ain't hooked up correctly, it needs to be sent. I should only go on one way. That little green thing pop up, that means it's connected and tight. The plug from the bottom is seated properly to the pins at the bottom of this fuse panel.
Man, we're at the final stages of getting this truck off the lift and on the ground. Seems like we've been doing wiring for 4 days now.
I'm so sick of seeing wires. Most of them are plugged in. Only a few left that are really giving me a hard time. There is just a ton of wiring and connectors that gotta get crammed in the areas and tied down. Oh man, so much stuff.
On big builds like this, it's super satisfying to see it all come together at the end. 28-inch wheels, speakers attached to articulating arms in the bed. We're ready to show this to the world.
I don't know about you guys, but I've been here 7 years now.
I've been here 7 years also.
Oh yeah, sure have, huh?
This year will be 12 years.
That's 12 too many.
You know, it's like anything, when you start here, you know, Bill has his own way of doing it, and then you start seeing a new helper show up. He starts doing it some other way, and you're like, maybe the way Bill's going to want it.
Yeah, so you got to pass it on. Everything will roll along a lot smoother doing it the way we've done it.
It's definitely easier, you know, that we work together so much that we already know how this other person works. I know what you're going to do, I know how you're going to do it, and I can pick up right where y'all left off.
We just practically became mind readers. We know what each other's we know what each other's doing and how to continue.
Pretty sure I spend more time here than home.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can guarantee I've opened that gate and shut that gate more than Bill himself.
You're right about that.
The big day for the 2020 Denali is finally here. And JD drove all the way down from Kansas City to see what we've been up to.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Bill? Good to see you again.
Dang, good to see you, man. It's a great day, huh?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Great day to pick up a dually?
Yeah, I'm excited.
I heard you got a little car collection yourself.
Yeah, I do. I got quite a few lifted trucks, a few hot rods.
But never anything lowered.
Yeah, nothing slammed.
You know, what finally clicked and said, I gotta have a lowered dually?
I heard it was the world's first. I had to do it. Nothing better than a lowered dually. The reason why I wanted a lowered truck this time is just pulling up to shows, being able to slam it down to the ground, you know, watch people's, response,
you know, just something different than the lifted truck scene that's been going on the last few years.
I love lifted trucks, but, you know, close to my heart is lower trucks, and especially lower dualies.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
You ready to check it out?
I am.
All right, come on, Timmy. Let's check it out.
Oh, no way. No way. Oh. Yeah, you guys knocked this out of the park. Yes. Yes. Woo! That's what I'm talking about right there. Yes. Hey, I wanted it low. You got it low for me. Yeah, that looks good. The white frame, color matched everything, sitting on the ground. This is beyond my expectations. I can't believe it.
What you think?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, you guys did an amazing job. It's awesome.
Thank you, man. I mean, you know, Timmy, John, they got down on this, as always. Well, how we had to start is picked it up on the lift and just started unbolting and unbolting and unbolting. Once that was all done, rolled it out and just got busy. Built the suspension, the air suspension on it, to building super strong control arms, to a big heavy duty 4-link for the rear. I mean, this is one of the biggest, strongest frames we've ever built here. I mean, it is overkill.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what you want. You know, that peace of mind when you're going down the road, you want to know that everything is 100% strong and built the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you guys did it. So it's absolutely amazing what these guys can do. Can take a brand new 2020 truck, take the old frame out and build a frame from scratch. I mean, I'm just absolutely blown away.
JD, what do you think about those wheels?
Yeah, I love them.
A 28-inch dually wheel on something that low, it just makes a huge, huge statement.
Yeah, the polish looks great on them. Engraved the Richline Motorsports in it. Perfect fit, too.
To finish it all off, you see everything's been color matched. Got rid of all the black plastic. We smoothed all that out, painted it body color. And, you know, it just makes this truck look classy.
Yeah, it does. It's not too much chrome, not too much white. It just all flows together.
Let's check out under the hood.
Yeah, let's check it out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that looks good. I can't believe that you guys took all this out and got it back in. Right. And still made it look factory. Yeah, that's amazing.
Man, it was hard enough getting the motor up to the cowl, much less.
Yeah, I got the tubs in here, color match everything. I mean, it looks great.
I appreciate that. You think this is cool. I really got something to show you in the back.
Yeah, let's check it out. I'm excited to see it. Oh, yeah. God, that is crazy. You can see everything.
Right?
Got the gooseneck in here. That is amazing.
That isn't just something that just bolts into the bed. That is all made directly to the frame. It's artwork made into the framework itself.
Yeah, this should be able to pull anything that I need to pull.
Absolutely. Those huge airbags on there, just pick this big truck right off the ground with whatever weight you got on it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah.
You wanted some speakers in the back.
Yeah, I see that you guys added the speakers in here.
Show me the other part?
Yeah, Timmy hit it. You know, down here in the bed's cool. It's going to make, you know, a lot of noise, but check this out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, yeah, look at that. Yeah.
Just one more thing. People are just going to go, what?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Not only, you know, the look of the truck is going to draw people, when they hear this sound, it's just going to project for a mile away.
Yeah, that's awesome how it's got the actuator to bring it right up. I mean, you guys knocked it out of the park. This is a dream come true right here. Hey, you know what? Maybe next SEMA, I can find something a little bit harder for you guys.
JD, you threw us a tall order, but as you can see,
we're going to be the first ones to have a Pro Charge 2021 Escalade.
Most people want to keep it as quiet as they can, not build that authorized sounding Escalade.
So this is a 46 Ford Coupe.
Recover the seat, little dash pad, be good.
When I say everything, this is everything. I want to drop it all the way on the ground, the air suspension on it, late model 5.0 in this thing. It's a total surprise for Ryan's dad.
Total surprise.
She looks really pretty.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
My old friend Ryan called me. He said he got a new project for us to do it. His family owns a company that builds and sells records. In fact, his dad started the business back in the 70s. Ryan, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming out, Bill.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Got this project for you here.
These the ones you're talking about?
We're going to start with this one here.
What year is this thing?
So this is a 46 Ford Coupe, and my dad bought it back in 86 when he turned 40. Tore it apart about 15 years ago, and here we sit. Same spot.
Oh, man. You know, I've heard this story a million times. A shop takes in the car, tears it apart, there it sits for years, and they never finish it.
I need somebody to put it back together. Yeah. Something special.
How old's your dad now?
74.
Does he know about this?
Knows nothing about this project. He does so much for everybody else in the community.
Yeah.
Gives his shirt off his back. Doesn't do anything for himself, so it's time to give back.
Man, that's awesome. I'm in on it. You know, I've never had one of these in the shop. It's going to be a first for us, but man, I've always admired these. You know, just looking at this car, it's going to be a cool car, but to have somebody, you know, think of you the way Ryan's thinking of his dad, that's a cool gift.
Looking for something that he can drive to the show, not only just a trailer queen, but he can get down on the highway and do 80, cold AC.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. We'll make it something he can burn the tire lot of trophies.
That sounds good. This car used to be called Blue Thunder when he got it. You know how they used to nickname their cars.
Oh, yeah?
So we need to do something with that.
So it's got to be blue.
Yes, sir. Got to be blue. We're looking for a dark metallic blue that pops blue when the sun hits it. Looks a little darker at night.
This is a cool, iconic body style, but this thing's got to sit right. So we're going to start out by building air suspension on this thing to get it really, really low to the ground with the right wheels and tires and get that stance perfect. Man, what you got under the hood of this? Is there anything?
Let me just show you.
Oh, man. We can't have nothing in here like this, man.
Got an old 350 Chevy in it, so that's wrong right off the bat.
I mean, that's definitely going to come out and just start fresh with the new 5.0 in this thing. Ooh. Man, when he pushes on the gas pedal, man, he's going to be happy.
That's what we need. You know, I can't wait for my father to have that smile on his face that he has for everybody else, but this time for himself.
Let's see what the interior looks like in there. Should I say lack thereof? Oh, yeah. Recover the seat, little dash pad, be good. No, man, there's nothing in here we can use.
You know, Bill, I know you got the outside all figured out and stuff. Then inside, take it to the next level.
Just taking it to the next level wouldn't be very hard on this interior. I want your old man to get this thing back, open the door, and sit down in here and just feel like he's 40 again. Because he might have a heart attack on this one.
But this will stop him taking those little blue pills, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, you won't need them no more after this, right?
We snuck you in while he's out at the races. Let me get it over to your place, and then we'll go from there. Sounds great.
Back rolling. I love that Ryan's giving something back to his dad. You know, not just anything, a custom 46 Ford. It's just that little extra that's going to make this cool old car even more badass. Most people see a car like this and go, man, look at that cool old car. But for me, when I see an old car like this, all I can think about is how many hours it's going to take to make this thing cool. You know, there's a lot of differences in customizing a new car versus an old car. A new car, you don't have to worry about lining up body panels. You don't have to worry about, you know, the hood latching correctly. I mean, you put wheels and tires, do your thing on it, slam the door, go about your business. So, you know, an old car, just the opposite. You have to address every single part on a car. There's going to be hours just getting the hinges lined up. There's going to be hours getting the window regulators working properly. There's going to be hours of just getting the window felt in. I mean, nobody ever sees you do this thing. There's only one thing to do. Quit talking about it and get to it.
Whoa! Has this thing always been back here?
You don't get out of the office much, do you?
No.
It's a total surprise for Ryan's dad.
It's a hell of a surprise.
Right? You know, I want to get this thing in the shop and blow it totally apart. We got to make this thing really low. I want to do air suspension on it. I want to put 20s on the front, 22s on the back, maybe a 22s on the front. I want to just kind of see how it looks. Once it's up on the lid, we'll see if there's anything underneath we can salvage.
find out what's underneath all this. Yeah, I'm really nervous, man. This thing, you can tell the bodywork's been done a long time ago, and there's a lot of it on here, so it's going to take a lot of work.
This thing's already got Blue Thunder on the back. Are you staying with blue on this?
It'd be sacrilegious to change that, right? You know, we got to bring old Blue Thunder into the 21st century. You know, this engine definitely ain't gonna cut it. It's got a Chevy engine now. Don't want that. We're on a late model 5.0, 6-speed transmission, new wiring harness, pedal, column, radiator hoses. When I say everything, this is everything.
So for the interior, looks pretty complete. It's got an awesome seat in there.
I'm gonna take this out. But everything other than that, you know, there's nothing there. So new bucket seats, bench seat in the back, of course, stereo equipment. Get with John, see what kind of equipment we need. Let's get it ordered. Get the carpet, get the headliner, get the window felt, window regulators, you know, one-piece side glass.
We're building the whole car, everything ground up, 100%.
Man, that's exactly what we're gonna do. You know, this thing is gonna require everybody in the shop. There's nothing on here that we're not gonna handle.
There's a whole process after process on this. Let's call it blue process.
Well, let's get to the first process, getting this thing in, get to it.
Got it. Let's do it.
This car's been sitting around rusting for who knows how long. So we'll start by getting up on the lift just to see how long our to-do list is. Ooh, look at that. Had intentions of just doing suspension on this, but you know, after looking at this frame, it's got to go. Our transmission is going to be a lot bigger. It's a big 6-speed transmission, so it's way bigger. So we'd have to cut all this out to make room. The easiest thing to do is just get rid of this old frame and just go over to the just unbolt the body, get it off the blast, and we'll get the body shop guys busy for a while. Me and Timmy, we thought we were just going to be able to salvage this.
That's like demoing a whole house to build a new one, but leaving the cracked slab. Want a good foundation to start with. If not, it's just going to be problems down the road. Body separated from the chassis. We're going to roll the chassis out, fasten the body to a body cart. We'll send this off to get media blasted, and we'll see how it looks when it comes back from media blast.
You know, I can really appreciate a surprise like Ryan's going to do for his dad with this coupe. I surprised my wife Jennifer by customizing her cars a few times. I might have gone a little bit too big for her taste, but she's got a new truck, and I'm ready to try one more time.
Did you steal the wife's car?
Yeah. You know, I want to surprise her. You know, I want to do a couple things to it. You know, she calls it Betty, so I want to get Betty hooked up.
So is this going to be a little surprise, or one of your SEMA take her car, or taking the SEMA 2-week surprises?
And then I was like, oh, I'll just take it to the shop and fix a little dent on the back. And 2 weeks later, it was in Vegas at the SEMA show, totally repainted, full interior stereo. She wasn't too happy. Couldn't haul groceries in the back anymore, but I think we got to get it down on the ground.
I knew that. I knew it before you said it. I knew exactly what you were going to say.
I mean, look at that fender well gap there. Man, that's way too big, right? We'll drop it down probably about 6 inches. You know, just a little bit, about 6 inches. You know, fill that up with a nice big wheel and tire. And, you know, we just can't have a 22, 24. We got to have a big wheel and tire, right?
Something to separate it from the rest, but still make it drivable. They didn't even have a kit to lower this?
Man, that's what we do. So we got an empty rack. We'll just pull it in, pull the wheels off, see what happens. I mean, we might even get it on there and just decide just to put air suspension on it and get it down really low.
That's the bill I know. I don't know of a better way to say I love you and thank you than dropping her new Escalade to the ground, put some big wheels on it, and
making her stand out.
That's an extensive way, right?
Yeah.
You know, good-looking stance with the right wheel and tire, it just gives it that attitude, that aggressive classiness. Set her apart from, you know, all the other soccer moms, and it feels special the whole time she's driving it. You know, won't be another one like it. You know, she works hard every day, pretty much takes care of the kids because we always work late, getting home late. We don't get her hooked up.
It definitely takes a lot to put up with what we do. It's a good call.
Yeah, she's been needing a little surprise lately.
She married you, she has to like surprises.
So what are we doing to Mom's truck?
You know, we're going to lift it really high. It's big 44s on it. You know, make it real easy for her to get in and out of.
Oh, yeah.
She'll love it. No, you know, I want to give her something that's cool, right? You know, back since the beginning of Extensive, I've always kind of experimented with my wife Jennifer's cars.
So is this going to be like Mom's last car? Or last surprise?
No. You know, I don't know what we're going to do yet. See how difficult this is. This is all new platform underneath. I heard it's independent rear suspension now, so we're about to find out. With her 2021 Escalade, I want it to be custom and cool. But, you know, maybe just a little more understated than I have in the past. You know, me and Jennifer have been together since before the beginning of Extensive Metal Works, so she's been around the car game just as long as I have. You know, as soon as Jennifer gets this back, she sees all the time and effort we put into it, how cool it looks. That's definitely going to put a smile on her face. You know, on the 2021 Escalade, it's been totally redesigned. This is 100% brand new, top to bottom, and it's unfamiliar territory for us. It's crazy how much cars have come in the last 5 years, 10 years. But, you know, that's part of it. This is definitely a learning experience, and, you know, you grow with the technology in a car, advancing with it every year. We want to stay up with the latest and greatest and be ahead of the curve.
What'd you figure out?
Just lowering springs, we got to change that out. You know, we'll put new coils on it so it just drops it down, gets rid of that big fender well gap, you know, with a nice wheel and tire. It's going to fill all that up and keep it all black, too. Yeah, that's going to set the whole aggressive tone to it, right? Speaking of tone, muffler, you got to change that tone, too. It's a 6.2 in this, and you can't really tell it any different from a Tahoe that's got a 5.3 in it. So there's restrictors and opens it up a little bit. You got to make it look good, you got to make it sound good, and you got to make it run good. We need the Pro Charger.
Y'all are definitely two peas in a pod. Both of y'all want to go fast.
You know, there's nothing available for this. It's so new, so Justin will have to build whatever it needs. And these little steps can't have the pontoon look, right? We got to get rid of those. Put the retractable steps on so it looks nice, clean, streamlined, lower the ground.
Man, I'm not going to lie. When you first told me you're going to surprise her, I was a little nervous myself because I've been a couple of these surprises and they go off the charts sometimes.
You know, most of the time I would really go for the full air suspension, lay it on the ground. But, you know, I want to make something that's perfect for her. So I have Tim and Dave changing out the springs.
First thing we're going to do the Escalade is get the stance right. We're going to take the struts out, put new springs on this thing. When we put it back together, it's going to lower the vehicle but still give you the same ride. So this basically holds the truck up in the air, and the shock dampens it. So when you hit a bump, it doesn't keep bouncing. By getting a new cool spring that's a little bit lower, it's going to lower this down to, say, right about here somewhere. It should be about 1.5 to 2 inches lower.
What we're going to be doing is if you don't have this specialty tool, you should probably not try and do this at all. It's pretty dangerous, you know, to be messing with something that's compressed and has a lot of pressure in it. We'll be able to loosen this nut up here and remove the shock. So the only thing we're going to be changing out is the spring to lower the ride height. We will reuse this and the boot. Only thing aftermarket should be just the spring.
Ooh. Lowering springs for you, sir. This should
Bring it down a little bit, tighten up that wheel gap, make it sit right.
Now we gotta work on it.
Yeah, you do.
Later, buddy. Later, boys.
Want to make it a little more sporty, bring it down just a little bit, but not enough that every time she goes over something, she's got to hit a bump or she's got to worry about rubbing it off. Now we have all the springs mounted. We're going to bolt them on the truck. One step closer. And it's in bad a shape as we thought. Before the body shop guys get their hands full with the body, the owner wants us to get it all the way on the ground with a full custom air suspension. You know, it's part of the surprise for his dad. You know, it's exciting to get a new project in, a new frame started, and just to build somebody's dreams. Everything to start starts with the frame. Let's see what we got here. 32. It's on the money. You know, it brings you back to being a little kid and building that first little model. I mean, that's basically what we do every day. Get to bring back our childhood memories of building all that cool stuff, but now we get to do it for real. We got our measurements here, 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 and that'll do it. So I got all the measurements I need. I'm gonna transfer them right on a drawing that we have on the table. I can see actually in real time how the frame's gonna look. So there's no mistakes on mismeasuring. We're gonna go right off our templates, transfer them right to the saw, start chopping, start putting together. Got it, man, that's all laid out.
You know what the thing looks like? 46 Ford frame. Rule of thumb here is cut everything in twos, two sides of the frame. So we're gonna make two cuts same time, so they're exactly the same. I guess the difference between building a custom frame and an OEM frame would be you could put things in different places for clearance issues, and definitely tool factors, you know, to make things different because of the tools. Now I got all the pieces cut and beveled. Now it's time to go ahead and start assembling this frame.
They're looking good, nice, square, level. This thing is going to be right. So now we're off to mocking up the suspension. You know, on the 46 Ford, we're going to build a two-link suspension with air. You know, I prefer a two-link suspension on a vehicle like this just because you can, on this, we're shooting for about 11 inches of lift. So you get a lot of lift out of it with a really nice ride quality. And the other advantage of the two-link is with it bolted super tight with the U-bolts, it doesn't allow it to sway like a four-link suspension and have to compensate with sway bars. That's why we're going with a two-link on this versus a four-link or other types of suspension.
Just trying to make sure the front of the two links are even and equal, the same height. So I'm putting my flat bar right here, basically as a leg. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp it, and I'll be able to manipulate this height-wise. I need 9 7/8 on this side, so I'll be able to touch this up to 9 7/8 on this side. It's a lot of measuring, a lot of looking across everything, make sure everything's parallel, everything's even. But taking all this time to do all that, I'll pay off in the end because everything will be perfect. Everything's going to be straight and true. That's exactly what we're looking for.
As big as a frame build is, the interior in the coupe is non-existent. So John's starting from less than zero. Yes, this car has absolutely no interior, and I think when it came in, it had a folding chair maybe in it. That's actually kind of the fun of this. It is, with it being a blank canvas, there's nothing there that dictates what it has gone, so we get to pick where everything's at and place things where we want it and do our own design in it. I've got a template for my kick panel, a template for the door panel, and for the rear quarter panel.
Everything's marked off where they line up together in the car so that everything has the same height that I need, so I can sketch this out to get all my patterns laid out so that everything will fit. Bill's thought and his idea is he wants Dad to get in his car and sit down and feel like he's still in his old hot rod. He doesn't want anything too new and too outlandish in this. He wants nice, clean, subtle lines in this. We want to get this thing just a nice, clean, classy feel so when he sits in it, he can feel like he's back in the old days. It's kind of one of those great things working around here. A lot of times we're just given free will to do whatever we want. So to be able to sit down and think it out and dream up something just different than everybody else's is really what makes this job so much fun. All the way from the beginning aspect, all the way to the headaches that you have, all the way to the end of it until it's finished. Every bit of it makes it fun because you get to design everything from your own ideas and your own perspectives. Erase, erase, delete. Good thing about these sketches, it's all fluid, so it's constantly changing, so you're never stuck to one thing if you got an eraser. And that's going to be a tall ridge here. So this is our insert fabric that we're going to use just for our accent color. That's going to be going here in our doors and also here. Plus we'll have it worked into the seats, so it's just that little extra pop just so it's not all the same fabric in the whole car. So now it's time to bring Blue Thunder back to life. We got the stance on my wife's 21 Escalade just right. Now I want to give it a better overall tone.
Bill wants to get rid of this stock muffler. It works from the factory. Most people want to keep it as quiet as they can. Not Bill. It doesn't have the rumble he's looking for. The wrecker. You know, this new muffler flows a lot better than the factory does. You get a little throatier sound. Jennifer's gonna love it. What school teacher wouldn't love pulling up to the parking lot a hot rod sounding Escalade? So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna go ahead and tack this first one. That way I can make sure it's square with the frame this way. Then I'll know, not only do I need this to go over, I also need it to come down. So it's gotta be like a 45 down and 45 over to one direction. Basically what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out a little jig so I know how to bend it. So I don't have to make 52 trips to the truck and back. I can just make me a little deal here. So I measure from this line down is 2 inches. So if I take 2 inches out of this right here, it should give me exactly what I need. According to the jig, this should flow exactly where I need it and give me an exact angle this way and this way. When it fits good, now it is weld it up. Bill's wife's got a brand new sports car sounding Escalade.
My wife's a little like me. She likes to give her vehicles a little extra horsepower. So I asked Justin to add a Pro Charger. Because this truck is so new, he's going to have to figure out the whole setup.
It's pretty neat that we're going to be the first ones to have a Pro Charge 2021 Escalade. Like, nobody's worked on one of these. Like, they don't make a kit out for it yet, so we're going to come up with we should see anywhere between 150 to 200 extra rear wheel horsepower on this thing once we get it tuned. We're going to try to squeeze the intercooler through here without removing the grill. So this one here is their what you would call like a stage 2 intercooler. So if you look at the thickness of the core, it's about a ½ inch wider than the one that would come in your base model kit. This one here is going to provide a lot better cooling for the extra air we're about to shove in this motor. We're running into clearance issues, these air louvers right here. So since it's such a large intercooler and such a tight space, to be on the safe side, instead of trying to force it in there, we're going to go ahead and remove the bumper and remove the support so that we can just drop it right into place. With this being a 2021, it's the first time pulling one of these bumpers off, so it can be a little time consuming. You know, you don't want to get in a hurry. You want to make sure that, you know, you get all the hardware out. You know, it's easy to, you know, miss a bolt here and there. And the last thing you want to do is piss off Bill's wife. So we need to make sure that we take our time and do it right the first time.
There we go. Just to fit the brackets on the supercharger. It's taking a bit more work, but it'll all be worth it in the end.
So that's what happens when you're dealing with a new vehicle. Something, you know, seems as simple as taking a bumper off can eat up most of your time. So this here is our supercharger. It's the P1X, their high output version. So now that we have the blower installed, all we gotta do is connect from our blower to our intercooler, from our intercooler to our throttle body. So the reason we use the rubber couplers instead of everything hardline is because you have vibrations of the motor, and whenever it torques over, it'll want to move. So you need to have movement. So that's why we're going with all these rubber couplers. So right now we're putting the belt on. We're trying to adjust the tensioner to make sure that we have the most amount of tension, but also where the tensioner is within range, because you don't want it maxed out where it's too tight, where the tensioner is not doing its job, and at the same time you don't want it too loose. So we're just fine tuning it right now to make sure we have it set right. Next step is to get our fan shroud back in. Once our fan shroud goes back in, then we get to start doing some of the custom piping and getting this thing wrapped up.
We have the rear suspension on the coupe all mocked up. Now we can make the custom bag mounts. Let's block it back up. Even something just as simple as a gusset for the upper bag mount. I mean, somebody just looking at it just looks like a piece of pipe, but you got to take into consideration where the shock's going to be, where the differential's going to be, where the air fitting's going to be. You want to make sure it's right. You want to take your time to notch it right, cope it right, sand it right, and attach it right. Done daily. On this particular chassis, we're going to use a diagonal link, which mounts a fixed point of the frame over to the moving part of the suspension itself, and it keeps everything 100% true all the way up, all the way down. There's no deflection of that whatsoever. We're able to build that into this suspension because there's nothing in the way. A lot of the times there'll be a gas tank in the way or exhaust in the way, or a lot of things could be in the way once you're building a suspension around something that's already there. The advantage of this is it's going to stay nice, true, straight up and down, and perfect. Back in 46, these coupes didn't have much of a speaker system, so John's going to bring the audio into this century, but he's also going to keep it with his classic look.
It didn't have subwoofers in 46, so what we're going to do is actually take and disguise that subwoofer. So basically, when you pop the trunk and look in, all you'll see sitting there is a suitcase and think it's a piece of luggage. You'll never even know that it's a subwoofer. For the corners of the suitcase, I want them to be rounded, so in order to do that, I'm going to take the PVC and cut it into quarters. That way I can use those as the corners of the box and then just glass them from the inside. It's kind of like making oatmeal. Put a little water in your bowl, a little bit of oatmeal in there, stir it up. You don't want your oatmeal too lumpy. Martha Stewart, eat your heart out. All we're doing with this is just reinforcing our PVC corners. So the first step we're going to take to make this thing look like a suitcase, we're going to use a scoop bit. We're going to run around the outside edge of the top, a little bit on the bottom, nice rounded over corner. We can do the body work. Take this fiberglass filler here, hit my outside corners, get them smoothed in. Just got to give these corners a little bit of love, get good round and smooth. Next thing we'll do, cut some lines in this, put some grooves in it. Don't mess it up. Really got to take our time to make sure we don't screw this up. And it could turn into a whole remake, and ain't nobody got time for that. I have confidence in myself. Oh God, I moved it. We'll also have to add a groove to the top edge and the bottom edge for all the material to roll into. So we're just going to take and work our way around the box, rolling it and flipping it to get our groove in it. All right, now we've got all the grooves cut in it. This thing's really starting to look like a suitcase. So the next thing I gotta do, just sit down, do a little bit of detail sanding on it. This thing will be ready to wrap.
Custom frame and suspension for the 46 Ford on the table. Now it's time to get it up underneath the body. Winter's coming along. I mean, it's really starting to take shape. We got all the old yuckiness out. So from the firewall back, 100% true square straight. But I found the easiest way to build chassis like this is locating the front cross member. Once that's located, you know the height you want, that locates our wheelbase.
Well, 141 and 3/4 or 16 too far.
Hammer's right there.
That's it.
So we have this dead center of the fender wells. Now that we have our front end on, we know where that center is. Next step is just connecting the cross member all the way down the frame. This car is going to run unbelievable, ride really good, and really low. It's at the perfect stage to really start creating. You know, normally we know exactly what we need to install the Pro Charger, but with the 21 Escalade being so new, Justin has to reinvent the entire wheel on this one.
So with the supercharger, we're gonna have pressure inside the pipe, and the last thing we wanna do is we're putting a bead roll on the end of the pipe so that the silicone coupler, whenever we clamp it, doesn't wanna slide off under boost. This is the flange for the blow-off valve. Typically, it would tie back into the inlet pipe to the supercharger. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna vent it to the atmosphere so we got that cool swishing sound. Now we got our 3.5-inch aluminum prep. We got our hole drill for our mass airflow sensor flange. The mass air and the O2 sensors work together, so if we dump off any air to the atmosphere, throw off our O2 sensors and the computer won't read right. So now that we have our blow-off valve flange on, our mass air flange on, and our extension piece that goes into our coupler, now we can go install it on the vehicle. Go ahead and pre-install our new blow-off valve. They actually sound better on supercharged cars. Because on a turbo car, they only open up under like acceleration. On a supercharged car, it's the opposite. It's open all the time until you give it gas, and then it'll close. And that's how you kind of hear more of that swishing sound. So now that we got the flange welded on, we got the 2 screws to hold in our sensor into our piping, just like we wanted. We can install our charge pipe and put some clamps on. And Life's definitely gonna have the fastest SUV in the faculty parking lot now.
The best days at work are always with a dog. If I do set up a table for me and this guy happens to use it for a bed, I'll put my stuff on the floor. You should just lay there and do nothing. I gotta go work. Look at this 2021 Escalade in the shop. It's already a good looking truck. It was good looking off the factory floor. But Bill being Bill, it always needs something. These steps just aren't gonna cut it. So he wants a retractable step. When you open the door, it folds down. When you shut the door, this will tuck back up, fold away, and you'll never see the step at all. It's gonna make it look sleek, and it gives it a custom touch. First step we're gonna do, just unbolt the old step, take it completely off, get it out of the way, and then we'll start with the new one. This motor here will go to a door pin. When the door opens, it lets us know this needs to come down. When the door shuts, it retracts this back up. You know, hands on my helper is. It's a good helper right there. The new plastics have a little indentation right here, so when this folds up, it tucks right in tight and it makes it disappear. plastic. It looks better. It functions better. And it's easier for little ones or old ones to get in and out.
You know, I'd be lying if I wasn't a little nervous to see what Jennifer thinks. But I think this time, we nailed it. You know, her Escalade's still classy, but custom, just the way she likes it. You know, well, I hope. As you know, I got a long history of customizing cars, and something you might not know, I have a long history of customizing my wife's cars too. The thing I got her was a Cadillac SRX. Took it to the Las Vegas SEMA show and killed it. The bad part about it was getting it home. It had so many speakers, there was no place to put the groceries, so she hated it. Every time I cut into one of my wife's cars, I always have the best intentions. I always want riding around in. You know, that's the feeling I get when I drive around in a cool car. I want her to have that same feeling. You know, my wife driving a totally bone-stock car, it hurts. It hurts seeing that. It's kind of like, you know, if I was a roofer, my roof was leaking, that's something you just can't have. You know, I've been known to maybe go a little overboard here and there, but you know, one of these days I'm gonna come up with that perfect combination for her that you're just gonna totally love. Thank you for lunch.
No problem.
Thank you. Hey, I want to tell you something. Remember, you know, I took the Cadillac in, had a recall, and I took it from you. It didn't really have a recall. I want to surprise you with something special. So I took Betty and I've done a couple things to her to make her stand out.
Like?
Well, you're about to see. You ready? You excited?
No.
Timmy's going to bring it around right now.
This is not the first time that Bill's taken one of my cars. We've had some cars where he has taken them and he's done things to them and they have not turned out well. That's a little stressful for me. Okay, so not so bad. I'm very proud. I appreciate you listening. It looks awesome.
Surprise!
Yeah, no. Beautiful.
Are you pleasantly surprised?
I'm pleasantly surprised. Thank you. Pleasantly surprised. She looks beautiful.
So I did good?
So far. I don't know. There might be more. I don't know. From what I can see right here, yes.
There's a little more.
She rides the same.
Better. You know, the first thing you notice when coming down the road, you know, well, Betty just looked way too tall. So what we had to do is get it in the shop and we changed out the springs. You know, took it all apart, took the coil springs out and replaced it with the shorter spring to give it that low stance, to get rid of that fender well gap. And, I mean, you got it all blacked out already. You had to have the black wheels.
Of course. Now, if I had to pick wheels, that would be something that I would pick. They're very clean, very pretty, very nice.
Yeah. And it's still going to retain that factory Cadillac ride. Classy.
Oh, the runners. Oh, I knew you were
classy.
It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful.
Can't have that old pontoon look. Just to give it that clean, streamlined look.
I'm gonna cry.
You know, after 28 years together, you know, every once in a while you got to show your appreciation, right? And you show your appreciation in giving your wife something really cool to drive.
You did good. You did good. I will never say it again.
I was surprised as you were when Bill said, nope, we're going to go just a couple mods on this one.
They haven't always turned out as well.
Let's check out under the hood. I got a little surprise under there for you.
Okay. Oh, wow.
You know, they don't make a kit for this. So Justin adapted everything and made the whole Pro Charger work on this.
So all this is custom?
Yep. Every bit. It runs real good.
It's very nice.
You're about 620 horsepower now. So Betty is going to get it. You're definitely going to make up some time and have plenty of extra leisure time now.
Cool.
I knew you were going to love it.
Yep, it's awesome. It sounded pretty.
Yeah, it sounds good. It had a little whistle to it. You needed that. Just way too quiet from the factory. I mean, looking at it, it's got to have a little deeper tone to the exhaust, so you get that whole attitude. When you roll up...
Oh, she's definitely going to draw some attention.
Most definitely.
It's nice.
I'm glad you like it. Thick we did good. If she was making this car herself, I think we gave her exactly what she...
This is really nice. You did a great job, and I'm very flattered. And all the other teachers are going to be really jealous. Beautiful.
Just like you.
Oh my gosh.
Is a 2017 F-150 pull-out with this engine. The 5.0 Coyote is a great platform for making a lot of power. We're going to change a couple things. We're going to change intake, put headers on it, and with the tune and E85, it should make about an extra 100 rear-wheel horsepower. So this thing's going to make plenty of power for old Coop. How do you start stretching every day, all day? On the really big jobs like the 46 Coupe, you just know it's going to be a marathon.
So we're stripping down the engine, taking all the old stuff off, stuff we're not going to use.
Every step you take, there's 100 more to go. We like to recycle. Just like going to pick up old dogs, we get old motors. We got a good stinger. Next step's finishing up the front suspension. Keep going on the bodywork and make that interior all from scratch. But man, once Ryan's dad sees Old Blue Thunder, this is